Hello and what's up guys, my name is Diva Crown and welcome to my episode 6 and episode 7 discussion of Fate Apocrypha. Now I didn't do a video on episode 6 last week mainly because I was waiting for the UTW subs, but didn't realize that there was another sub out that was actually really decent besides a few errors, and I was going to do a review after the UTW subs came out, but I decided to combine that episode with today's episode. So a lot has happened these past two episodes, but the first thing I want to talk about was Mordred's past in episode 6, and also if you want to just click and see my episode 7 discussion, just go to the timestamp down in the description. Now I must say it's really cool to see the battle between Saber and Mordred in Mordred's perspective for once, because in the previous Fate adaptations, every time we see Saber's flashback of that scene, we never really had any dialogue from it, at least from what I can remember, so it's very interesting to see Saber basically denying Mordred as king. Also, I know it was a big topic from last week's with this episode on how Mordred was actually born, since both Saber and Mordred's mother were both female in this universe, and the best way I can describe it is dick magic. You think I'm joking, but I'm being serious right here. Dick magic, look it up. But anyways, the entire point of Mordred's frustration and hate for her kingdom was because basically Saber didn't acknowledge her as her son, and there is a lot more deeper into this, but I believe if I explain more, it'll be kind of spoilers for the other series, so I'm just going to avoid it. Also, a few more things that I enjoyed with this flashback was the references from Fate Grand Order. If you don't know what that is, it's basically a mobile game and visual novel with its own story, and a lot of the characters in Mordred's flashback appear in that game, so it's cool to see them here. Also, another thing was that goddamn cat scene with Mordred. It was both adorable and distracting at the same time. Now moving on from that, we get our first major interaction with Jack the Ripper, and I must say they did a really good job on making her character really horrifying for being a lolly, and adding to that in episode 7 with her actually eating a heart, and the way they animated it was just disturbing. I love it. Her and I guess her mother, since she doesn't seem to be a master, really have a creepy relationship, and I can't wait to see more from them in the future. Also, I will say that while Jack's outfit fits her design, just why Japan? But anyways, Jack's and Mordred's fight scene was really good, and continuing from that fight to two more was with Mordred versus Chiron and Sigiel versus Chiron's master, whose name I can't remember at this time, but both fights were fantastic, and one thing I really loved from this episode was Chiron basically using Mordred's own strength against her, even though he got her in the process. But it shows that he was a teacher for Greek gods for a reason. Dude knows his stuff. And talking about Sigiel's fight, I really love his fighting style, as well as him using everything around him to his advantage, that even surprised Chiron's master because he's not using usual mage techniques, I guess. Also, not gonna lie, I laughed really hard when I saw her basically being Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man. Just fantastic. So moving on to episode 7, there wasn't much I want to say about this episode, mainly because there's just a setup to the major fight to come and our first big battle royale between the servants, to which I assume is the battle we saw in episode 1. But one thing I will say about this episode is that I now think Semiramis is best girl. Listen, if she sneaks up on you while you're sleeping to be your lap pillow, that's best girl right there. Also, not to mention her crazy noble phantasm, which is basically an attack fortress, which is insane. Now, whether it can do other things besides just spawning skeletons is left to be seen, but the entire idea of her noble phantasm is fantastic. Also, if I may say that if Semiramis is best girl, then Shakespeare is best boy, because he is literally only here just to see the events unfold. If he does something else to help the battle, I'll be surprised, but I loved his scene in today's episode. Now, another big part of this episode was Sieg basically trying to decide what his wish is and trying to define freedom for himself, and there were very short scenes, but something I imagine that Sieg will want to go fight is to save the other homunculi that were trapped in the Black Faction's domain. So it's cool to see him take a stance, even though this is the one thing that John didn't want him to do. So overall, the past two episodes have been pretty good in terms of the content they provided, and the action scenes in the episode were also pretty good. And I'm glad that they weren't extremely flashy fight scenes like the one with Siegfried versus Karna, and all I will say is keep up the good work, A1. But let me know what you guys thought of not only today's episode, but last week's episode as well. And since we are about to head into a huge battle next episode, which side are you currently rooting for? Personally, for me, I'm rooting for the red faction, mainly because I want to see what they can do, especially so since it seems that Shiro will be leading all the servants. I guess that's one thing I am bummed about this series, is that we didn't get to see more of the other Masters of Red, but I guess it's fine. But like I said, leave all your thoughts in the comment section down below, and see me next time in my next Fate Apocrypha discussion, and until next time, have a great day.